Hello everyone, I am Wendy with Winds of Change Ministries, and today I'm going to discuss shadow work. I decided to go with this specific topic today because it was a toss-up between dealing with the red zone of the Hawkins scale of consciousness, or to start with shadow work. And today I got pushed towards doing shadow work. I was at the gym and just minding my business, sitting on the hydro bed massage chair. And in fact, I wasn't sitting on it, I was laying on it, belly down with my head towards the feet area, because I was massaging my lymph nodes in my front side of my body, from the belly down to the knees, and that was the way to do it. Anyway, there's a few beds at my gym, and a lady finished up and she came to me and she says, "I have never thought about doing that." And I told her why I was doing it, and she was amazed. She's like, "Oh, that is such a great idea." Now this was an older lady. She says, "I'm trying to heal my body, and I know that, I'm trying to flush out my lymph nodes and get my water circulating and everything." And so she really liked that, and she says, "I'm trying to focus on my mind, body, and spirit." And of course, that was a key word for me, because I live in the Bible Belt, and a very hardcore, small town, Bible thumping area. And to hear someone say mind, body, and spirit, well, that's just not heard on the streets here where I live. Yeah, we might hear it on the internet some, but not here on the streets, okay? So when I heard that, I said, let me hop off this thing. You and I are going to have a conversation. So I gave up half my time on my massage bed to go talk with her, and we had a great conversation, and we went very deep. In fact, she felt comfortable with sharing with me a supernatural experience where she was attacked by a demon. And I went ahead and shared my experience. With her, she was being clawed. She felt the claws of something grabbing her belly and just digging into her abdomen. And on her right side, she didn't see it, but she felt the presence and the aura of Jesus. All right? And so she knew that, or an angelic being. And she knew that that being was fighting for her. So that was her supernatural experience. I myself, years ago, I had, and she said that this entity was a black shadow. And years ago, I had a vision where I had a giant, like, Incredible Hulk size fist, a huge fist, massive, like the size of just massive, like two basketballs or something side by side. It's pretty large, punching me in my belly. And alongside that, it was just the hand that I saw, and I was in the dark void when this happened. And beside it, I had a bunch of tiny little hands punching my belly, rapid fire style, like, and I woke up with a knowing that they were trying to cause a miscarriage of something that I was working on. The pregnancy was not a literal pregnancy. It was a project I was working on for God, which was the interpretation of the Bible. So that's one of my instances. And then another one was when I had just started uploading some videos of my Bible project, and the moment I started uploading videos, and I was doing it chapter by chapter, my audiobook, the moment it happened, I mean, almost instantaneous, I felt this weight on my chest, and like a heart attack. And this was several years ago, and that weight persisted for a long time, and I rebelled against it. I didn't go to the doctor. I knew what caused it, and I kept going. And a few days. Oh, and as I was walking around my house and doing different things, I could sense this dark entity in my house. I felt it. Its presence was in my house. And anyway, I didn't see it, but I felt it. And then one night, but I just ignored it. One night, I was laying in my bed getting ready to go to sleep, and I felt a little tugging at the foot of my blanket, the foot of the bed. And I decided to roll on top of my blanket to secure it. And I acknowledged this entity, and I said, "No, you can't have my blanket." And that was kind of a mistake, because the moment I acknowledged it, and it knew that I knew that it was there, and it knew that I was intentionally ignoring it, well, then this entity, this invisible entity, pulled my blanket with such force that it ripped my spirit out of my body, and I smashed against the wall in front of it. And then it picked me up and grabbed me like this, and I cried out, "Father, help me." I mean, that was like a little girl crying out, "Father, help me." And then I just snapped. That was the last, I was out. That was the last thing I remember. And then, because that part of my memory was wiped. And the next thing I know, I was in my bed, laying on my side, just like I had, where I rolled over on the blanket. I was in the same exact position, because my body never moved. It was my spirit that was ripped out. And anyway, and behind me, on the side of my bed, I could sense three entities in my room with me, and they were praying over me. That incident happened at the beginning of Sukkot. Okay, the Feast of Tabernacles, which, and it was 5 years ago this fall. And then, but those entities prayed over me, and they prayed. One of them was, they were all three praying, but one was audible. I don't know if it was Hebrew or if it was just a Semitic language, maybe Aramaic, maybe Kurdish, I don't know, but I knew it was Middle Eastern of some sort. Let me just say that when you start experiencing this, it's almost like an initiation from God to go deeper. It's like you're awakened to, oh, there are powers, there are forces beyond myself, and now I get to experience this. It's like you've been activated to a higher, it's a spiritual gift, okay? And that's really what it is. And when these fighting with your demons like this, and knowing that you have a divine partner in God to fight against them. So, what is shadow work? It is dealing with repressed issues that you choose to ignore. See, I chose to ignore that demon, and so it showed its ugly presence to me. So that's what they are. Now, it was a very real manifestation of something that was happening within me. Okay, so this is this is the initiation of God saying it's time to do your shadow work. Okay, you have elevated to a point that it's time. And so I had to wrestle with my demons. This was several years ago. And yeah, I got to wrestle with my demons, literally. Shadow work is the things. How do you identify your shadows? It's very easy. You can do it the long, hard way by stubbing your toe and with real life experiences, or you can go into it with an active knowing. Okay, it's like, oh, so that's my shadow. All right, and the way you know this is if something triggers you. Okay, that's something that you need to work on. That's that. If you get triggered with something, that's not something that you feast upon. You don't relish in that triggering. You're not glad that you went ape shit. Okay, that's not what it's about. What it's about is recognizing, that's what triggers me. Discover the root of what bothers you. Okay? Because the ultimate goal is to ascend, right? And ascension is inner peace and harmony. So if you can identify what triggers you and recognize that that's a shadow, recognize that that's what's preventing you from ascending, then you've got a tool in your toolbox that can help you. All right? So the next time you get triggered by something, identify what it is and work with it. So what are some solutions on how to help a person who is triggered? Well, a recent example of this was I was having a conversation with someone, and they said, and this one is recent, so that's why I'm drawing on it, okay? And I think it can benefit a lot of people out there. This person said that, he can't stand when women use their breasts as leverage to get what they want. All right, so that's the trigger. Let's look at this deeper. What is the vulnerability? Why does it trigger him? Well, it triggers him because he recognizes a weakness in himself. That's what it is. It's nothing against the woman who has big bazookas, okay? It's nothing against her. He's recognizing a weakness in himself and is ignoring it, okay? He's fighting against himself. It's not her or women with big boobs. It's himself and his own weakness. And so, he recognizes the vulnerability he has for women who have breasts that, and use them to get their way. So, we know the trigger, we know the root. How do you solve this problem? Well, it's all about how you choose to look at it. If you want to be a hard ass and you're so stinking stubborn that you would rather be alone than with a woman that, happens to have if you want a chestless woman and that's what you're happy with because it triggers you, then go with that. All right? Or make peace with the fact that you have a weakness and work with it. Just work with it. Let's give you an example. All right? You got a relationship. There's a woman. And I'm going to use the same example I used with him because it's kind of humorous. You've got a wife, and she wants to plant some rose bushes, and she can't do it by herself. Maybe they're bigger rose bushes or whatever. She wants some help. to plant her rose bushes. So she goes to her husband to ask him for help, and he actually has promised her, yes, I'll help you, right? But it's been stalling for a while, and every time she turns at him to look at him to think, when are we going to go plant these rose bushes, he's busy, picking his nose. He's just going to town with it, all right? I don't care what he's doing. Maybe he's watching sports on TV, maybe he's playing the stock market on his computer. I don't care what he's actually doing, but he's not helping her. So anyway, what are the options? What would this is a multiple choice. What's the best option? And I'm asking this to you. Is it better that she gets his attention by sitting on his lap with her big bazookas in his face and promising to show him some affection, give him a reward after the job is done? Is that the better solution? Or is it better that she stands over him and harps at him, nags at him for not helping her and wasting his day away picking his nose? So, option A, use your assets to your advantage to get the attention and get the job done. Or option B, bring in negativity. If you want the win-win situation, then you need to pick option A, where both people get what they want. So that's an example of recognizing your triggers, learning to deal with it, learning, your weakness, learning to, how am I going to cope with this so I'm not triggered anymore, and then moving forward where things are a win-win for everyone. So that's an example of how to do shadow work. Now I will tell you this. I had never even heard of shadow work. Never heard of it. I had to learn all this stuff the scary hard way, like many people. All right, like many people. If you're not learning about psychology and stuff, and God's trying to teach you something, He's going to teach it to you the hard way. And having someone throw your spirit out of your body against the wall, well, that definitely wakes you up and gets your attention, okay? I didn't know what that was at the time. I did know that God had my back, and I wasn't fearful. I didn't understand what it was at the time, but I did eventually figure it out. And when I did come across the terms of shadow work, it started to make sense to me, because I had another experience with Jesus a few years after this first experience with the shadow man. And in that one, I had Jesus standing by my side, kind of like we're right here. And he told me he wanted to introduce someone to me. And then all of a sudden, in the distance, I saw a shadow man approach me. And when he approached me, I was expecting him to maybe stop, around here, but he didn't. He merged inside me. And when he did, it was the most amazing feeling ever. And if I had woke up to that, not knowing that Jesus actually introduced me to this individual, I would have been scared. I'd been like, was I just possessed? Is this a demon? What just happened? But it was actually Jesus who introduced me to this shadow. And what that dream represented was me making peace with my shadows. And when a person does that, then it's one of the most amazing, wonderful feelings ever. So that is shadow work. And I don't know your shadows. You got to figure that out for yourself. Look for the triggers, find the root, then find a solution. We're coming up on Passover, and so I'm going to figure out some lessons for related to Passover. All right, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a week-long feast. So I actually do honor the Hebrew holy days. I do honor them. So I know a lot of the things I teach might seem way out there, out of this world, but I honor the Hebrew holy days. So my name is Wendy. I am Wendy, and we're all living in the winds of change.